Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Monday, May 12th, 2014, and finally the NFL draft is over. 3-day event. Hopefully they change it, but it was crazy. It was the best draft I've ever seen, I've ever watched, and it was the most in-depth draft. I mean, when you know players being drafted in the 7th round, they're not just random people like, oh, okay, I'll go look them up later. These are actual players that you still remember by name and watch them play, and they're being drafted 6th, 7th round. You know you have a really, really good draft, and this was one of them. It was an awesome draft. I've been able to look at other players that haven't, seen, but also, for different teams, especially for the Chargers. Question the Chargers. Their draft picks when it was first happening, I was like, there's so many players we could have got instead of these guys. But after watching them, you got to have trust in Tom Telesco and the rest of the Chargers organization. And I'm sure you guys are mostly impressed with your draft. I think almost every team had a really good draft. There are some that are in question. I question, part of the Seattle Seahawks. There's some of their picks. The Indianapolis Colts had a really bad one. But we'll also talk about in the draft. We'll recap it, but we're not going to go through every single pick. We'll go through all 7 rounds, but just players that stand out that can make immediate impacts, even in the 7th round, players that could make an impact on their teams, and so on, so forth with that. Also, we'll talk about some college football news. The NBA playoffs will continue tonight with the San Antonio Spurs possibly sweeping the Trailblazers. Man, what a series that I thought it was going to be. And also some Major League Baseball injury updates. A lot of players going on the DL, some being activated, but a lot of players just all getting hurt right now, and it's just a bad time, especially for my Dodgers. We are struggling so bad. But anyways, we'll talk about college football news. And first is Virginia, the Cavaliers. All sorts of news for them. They named their new starting quarterback and sophomore Grayson Lambert. In the Cavs spring game, Lambert was 18 of 31 for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also threw 2 interceptions. His now backup David Wofford was 4 for 14, 31 yards and 2 interceptions in the game. So that led to Lambert starting, and Virginia's coming off one of their worst seasons in recent years, actually for a long time. Going 2-10 last season. Had a lot of hype for Virginia. The recruiting class, they're getting great recruits coming to Virginia, but struggling. They're struggling. So now they have a new starting quarterback, and also bad news for that quarterback. He lost his main target, and that's Virginia tight end Jake McGee has decided to transfer to Florida. McGee led the Cavaliers in receiving last year with 43 catches, 395 yards. This spring, they moved him to wide receiver to better make use of his athletic ability. But he looks to be more a traditional tight end, more blocking schemes for him. He wants to do, I don't know. I talked about him a few weeks ago on my show, and he's really good. He's really good. He's going to be probably the number 1 tight end taken in next year's draft. Already looking forward to next year's draft. Hopefully no injuries, but I don't know what his mindset is. It's like, you have a really good talent. If we can use you in more passing schemes, you're just really good. But he wants to be more of a, old school tight end where he's taking on more blocks, being, more down on the dirt, not a little bit of receiving too. He doesn't want to be like a Jimmy Graham. He wants to just be old school, and it's weird. And I think Florida, either way, they might have told him, hey, yeah, we'll use you more of a blocker, but you're going to be used in passing schemes as well. So I don't know what his mindset is right now, but it's really good for Florida. Really good for them. Bad news for Virginia after trying to rebound from a terrible season, and you're losing your best player on the team. But either way, Florida just got a really good player. Other news, the Pac-12 Conference is in discussions to move its championship game from campus sites to neutral ones as early as this season. The Pac-12 presidents could vote on moving the game during their annual meetings in June. A lot of people are wanting this. really bad, because it would bring, a lot of revenue. And I think it's smart. I think every conference should have a championship game, and it should be, obviously kind of in the middle of where your conferences are, because you don't want to give one team too much an advantage, I guess you can say. But you wanted a big stadium, obviously an NFL stadium, and a great city, obviously, and that's where the NFL stadiums are going to be. But here are a few teams, or a few cities, places that are, I guess you could say, up for bid for the Pac-12 championship game. It's going to be Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The future home of the San Francisco 49ers are the favorite for this year's title game. But a lot of other cities are also intrigued by the possibility of having the Pac-12 championship game. This is what Tom Sadler, president of the CEO Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, said. Quote, Phoenix would be very interested in hosting a Pac-12 football championship game if the conference decides to go to a neutral site. The conference would have many worthy sites to consider, but the University of Phoenix Stadium has the most distinguished record of hosting elite events in Pac-12 footprint, end quote. So that is where the Arizona Cardinals play. So really good. You have the 49ers home stadium in a brand new stadium. Then you got the Arizona Cardinals that host, the Fiesta Bowl, also host, Super Bowls here and there. But another place, very interesting, but goes against what I just said about not being in just one area, not in the middle, is CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington, home of the Super winning Seahawks, are also being considered. They want it too, and it would be awesome for it to be there. It really would be. Maybe they should have a rotation system, going from Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks, and just rotate from there. I don't think that would happen. I think it's going to be set in one place. Like the Big Ten championship is always at the Colts Stadium. What else is there? SEC championship at Falcons. I think that's about it. I know the ACC championship, what is it, in Florida? So, but the Seattle Seahawks, I would love to see at CenturyLink Field. That would be interesting to see. But all of these places are very, very worthy to have the Pac-12 championship there. But it's interesting to see that I don't think it should be at a campus site. I think it should be at a neutral site, places that the players maybe have never been to that actual stadium, and get the feel of a big stadium. Because let's say Colorado versus I don't know, some other school. Let's say Utah or something. They're going against each other in the Pac-12. I think they might be in the same. I think they're both in the North. So they couldn't play each other. But anyways, you get two small schools playing at, CenturyLink Field or the 49ers new stadium, Cardinals Stadium. It's brand new. It's bigger. It's fun for the players, fun for the coaches, great for the fans to go, traveling and stuff. So it'd be very cool to see where the Pac-12 decides to go with this. Other news, Kentucky Wildcats extend head coach Mark Stoops with a contract extension that will take him through the 2018 season. He now has 5 years remaining on his deal and also received a raise that will earn him $2.75 million in 2017 and $2.65 million in 2018. The Wildcats were 2-10 last season and in the first year for Stoops being head coach, but reeled in the number 20 recruiting class last year or this year, whatever you want to say. So he's doing something with Kentucky. We might see Kentucky shock a lot of people. They are losing their quarterback. What's his name? Jalen Whitlow. I believe that's his name. Really good. He's got the size. He's 6'5". He looks like Cam Newton. He's 6'5", got a big frame. He can throw the ball. Don't know why he's going to leave Kentucky. He was going to be the starter. And Wildcats would have had a really good chance with him at quarterback, but he's transferring. Haven't heard any other news on him where he's deciding to go. But what Mark Stoops is doing at Kentucky, it might be something special. We might not just think of Kentucky as a basketball school. Now, it's going to take a while to get that, because basketball, they win all the time. But football is gonna. We might start seeing them win and shock maybe Alabama, may shock Auburn, LSU. We might see Kentucky take some steps here. But a team that's not taking any steps and is going backwards is Georgia Tech. A lot of people leaving their program. As starting defensive end Jabari Hunt-Days, who had 129 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions in 27 career games, is now ineligible for the 2014 season for not meeting NCAA eligibility requirements. Then true freshman running back Travis Curtis is also leaving the school for at least the upcoming academic year to attend Georgia Military College. And then the school also announced that Director of Player Personnel Matt Griffin and Special Teams Coordinator Dave Wolotsky are no longer on the staff. So I don't know what's happening with Georgia Tech, but they lost a lot of people. So we'll have to see how that goes. Youngstown State. Wow. University has offered Ohio State head coach Jim Tressel, former Ohio State head coach Jim Tressel, the president position at the university. A spokesman for the university, Ron Cole, says a contract is being negotiated with Jim Tressel, and that would, I don't know how big a news it is. I saw it. I thought I needed to announce it. I mean, it's already been announced, but just talked about it a little bit. Jim Tressel, it's I don't understand why they need to put this in college football news. I mean, I know he was a former head coach, won national championship, all that other good stuff, but he's just taking a president's position. He's not going to be coaching. He's not going to do anything. He used to coach there. I think that's where he started coaching. But I don't know, throwing it out there. Some funny news though happened over the weekend during the NFL draft. Was for the first time since 1937, the Texas Longhorns failed to have a player selected in the NFL draft. The Longhorns entered the weekend with 6 draft hopefuls, including All-American and Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year Jackson Jeffcoat, hoping to be drafted. Were eligible, ready to go, and 0 were picked. 0 were picked. These are some other schools that had at least one player drafted: Linwood, Pittsburgh State, Bloomsburg, McGill, Maine, Concordia, Northwest Missouri State, Princeton, and Saginaw Valley had at least one player drafted, and Texas had 0. That's incredible. That's pretty funny too. I'm not a Longhorns fan. I don't like the Longhorns, so I think it's even better. I think it's funnier. But there are 2 players that I do like though from Texas, and that is Jeffcoat, just because his family tradition at playing football, and also he's not a normal Texas Longhorn player like Vince Young, Ricky Williams, who else? Roy Williams. All that are bust. Did nothing. Anyways, Jeffcoat, he's got potential, and surprisingly, he wasn't drafted as well as Mike Davis. Jeffcoat was signed by the Seattle Seahawks, though, as an undrafted free agent, which is really good for him. Going to be in a really good system and a good area for Jeffcoat to succeed in. And Mike Davis being with the Raiders, Davis has speed. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders can do with them. Both of those players I do like. So best of luck to them, but still don't like the Longhorns. But we will talk about the NFL now and doing a draft recap. But before we get on to that, there's 2 quick little new things. And during the NFL draft, Eagles traded running back Bryce Brown to the Bills for a 2015 4th round pick that can become a 2016 3rd round pick. The Bills' top running backs Fred Jackson and CJ Spiller are both entering their final years of their contracts, while Brown has 2 years remaining on his rookie deal. This is very interesting for the Bills doing this. I think it's a win for the Bills. They have, Jackson, he's the older one. He's a veteran. He does get hurt every now and then, so but he still brings something to the table. CJ Spiller, obviously, we all know, top running back, fan favorite, and most likely will get a contract extension done probably before the season even starts. Hopefully no injuries to him as well. But Bryce Brown, he brings, a little youth. I know CJ Spiller's still young, but he brings more youth to him. And Brown, he's got talent. He's got talent. Philadelphia didn't really use him too much. I believe he only had, 300 rushing yards last season and 2 rushing touchdowns. Didn't really do anything last season. That wasn't his fault. LaShawn McCoy led the NFL with 1,600 rushing yards, and the system just didn't really fit Brown, I guess. But this is, I think it's a really good thing for Brown to be here. He's still not going to get a lot of playing time, but I think he'll get more playing time than he did in Philadelphia, because Brown and Jackson might be tied at second in the depth chart. I don't think there'll be a third. I think they'll be right with each other, while CJ Spiller takes a starting role. But I like this trade for the Bills. It gives you very talented running backs, and I think the head coach came out and said, we don't want to have players here that think this is, my job. I already have it. I earned it. I want it, and done. Now having Brown there, it's going to push CJ Spiller to say, okay, I might be losing some playing time because Brown's right behind me, and so I'm already having to share time with Jackson. This isn't good. Got to get better. Jackson, on the other hand, he's a veteran. He's going to be like, it's all good. Well, Brown wants to make a name for himself still. So he's going to be able to push CJ Spiller, and Brown's going to see that maybe there's a chance to be number 1 running back here. Not really thinking he will be the number 1 running back, but hey, it's going to push them to all get better, and that's what the Bills are looking for. That's what every team should be looking for. And I like the trade overall. The Bills also traded wide receiver Stevie Johnson to the San Francisco 49ers for draft picks in just this past weekend's draft. Now, I was a little upset by this. I know a lot of people saw this writing on the wall once the Bills traded up to get Sammy Watkins in the draft. I like that. I like that they got Sammy Watkins. That's what they needed. EJ Manuel, very excited. But to me, I feel like even though Stevie Johnson kind of stepped down a little bit last season, and also, still has that off the field issues, you're worried about, it's still, you just now lost another target though. You gained a really good one, probably better than Stevie Johnson, but you still lost a pretty solid wide receiver in the trade. So to me, that kind of concerns me. I feel like the Bills should have kept Stevie Johnson and maybe had Watkins and Johnson push each other to get better, take more time. I don't know. If I was a Bills GM, I would have kept Stevie Johnson. I don't know his contract situation. Maybe it was that, and the way he's been playing wasn't really worth it. And worrying about the off the field is an issue that I see, but I still would have kept Johnson. I still would have kept him. I really would have. Other news, the Indianapolis Colts are trying to do something that the San Diego Chargers and the New Orleans Saints have done successfully, the only 2 teams. The Colts signed Eric Swoop, a former 4-year basketball player at the University of Miami, to play a tight end. He is a 6'5", 220. He's never played organized football at any level, but he did start 27 of 110 basketball games with the Hurricanes of Miami. This is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of unsafe. This guy's never played contact football, and you're automatically signing him. I know the size and possibly the speed he might have. You're very intrigued. I think that requires a workout. If you're going to and I know the Colts are smart. They're going to work him out first. They're not going to place him straight into getting hit. Because if this guy's never been hit and you're going against NFL players, whether they're just rookie training camp, these guys have played for a good amount of years, and you still made it to the NFL. So you still have talent. And this guy, not saying he doesn't have talent to play football, but he's going to get hit. Can he take a hit, from an NFL player? And also, it's just kind of, I know the NFL has that copycat scheme, how we talk about teams trying to copycat what the Seattle Seahawks have at their defense, tall cornerbacks, physical defense, the way they play, undersized linebackers, this and that. But, you know, it's kind of to a point where it's just like, I feel like you're just doing it just to get, like, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know why they tried to do this. The Chargers took a risk, and they were the first team to successfully do it with Antonio Gates, who was going to be a Hall of Famer. Jimmy Graham, you know, I think we still have about 4 more years to find out if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but a very, very good player, obviously, an elite player. What the Colts are trying to do, you might be pushing it. But at least it gives this guy a chance to play professional football after basketball didn't work out for him. So, you know, can't take that away from him. But it's kind of like, you know, you're just kind of, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. I don't really like it when teams go out and copycat. But anyways, the NFL draft, an exciting draft it was. The first pick in the NFL draft was Jadeveon Clowney. Went to the Houston Texans. Texans couldn't make a trade. And one thing I find a little bit disrespectful that the Texans did is the last time they were in this position drafting with the first pick overall, they did draft a defensive end named Mario Williams, who wore 90 for the Houston Texans. You know what number they gave Jadeveon Clowney? Or Jadeveon? I know they changed this the way, well, we were supposed to pronounce it another way, but I forgot now. They gave him 90. They gave him 90. Now, I don't know. Why not 97? He wore 7 in college. I know he can't wear 7 on the NFL, you know, number list, but give him 97. At least he still has 7 from college, and 90. You know, don't give him 90 because that's what Mario Williams had. Now you're gonna have to talk about, is he the next Mario Williams? Can he do the same thing? If he struggles and you have 90, people are gonna make comparisons, all this other stuff. I know you're not supposed to listen to all that talk, but still, now you just made more drama for no reason. If you could have gave him 97, it'd have been all right. You know what I mean? Because defensive ends, you can't really give them that many numbers in the NFL. It's really 90 from 99, and that's about it. And yeah, but Texans, good pick. Then Greg Robinson was taken off the board. Really like him. I think the Rams should have got Sammy Watkins. I really think they should have. Because they were in that position. They didn't trade out. But Greg Robinson is a very good offensive lineman. It's going to be able to protect against, you know, great pass rushes in the NFC West. So good looking out for the Rams as well. Then Blake Bortles was the first quarterback taken off the list to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to stay in Florida. He's a bust. I feel bad for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I really do. I don't like Bortles. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't think he's going to be that good. I think he's another one written off the list for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bad pickup. Then Sammy Watkins was taken off the board after the Bills traded up. Khalil Mack to the Raiders. Jake Matthews to the Falcons. I like that pick. Mike Evans to the Buccaneers. Going to be working out with Vincent Jackson. Both same size, physical type players. Evans gonna learn a lot from Jackson. Justin Gilbert went to the Browns. Anthony Barr to the Vikings. I like that pick by the Vikings, really do. Aggressive. They lost Jared Allen. I know Barr doesn't play defensive end, but he does bring that pass rushing ability. It's gonna be awesome for the Vikings to have him. Eric Ebram to the Lions, really good. You're gonna learn under Brandon Pettigrew, who does have injury issues, but he's gonna learn under him and really take a valuable role in this Lions offense that's going to be deadly this season. Then Taylor Lewin, offensive tackle to the Titans. Odell Beckham Jr. to the Giants. I love that pick. Aaron Donald to the Rams. Dang, the Rams defensive line is going to be crazy good. Robert Quinn, Aaron Donald. They got that other big defensive lineman who threw a huge fit against the Seattle Seahawks. They have him. I'm missing someone else. Anyways, Rams defensive line, probably the best in the NFL. I'm going to go ahead and say it before the season even starts. Best defensive line. Kyle Fuller from Virginia Tech, defensive back to the Bears. I like that pick. Physicalness. Learn for Charles Tillman. and God, I can't think of the other guy. I was trying to think of him, but I forgot. Ryan Shazier, linebacker from Ohio State, Pittsburgh. I like him. I like that pick. Steelers. That's a traditional pick for the Steelers, and the way Shazier plays really fits the Steelers. Smart move. And then the most intense moment in the NFL draft was the number 16 pick, held by the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody thought Johnny Manziel, he's still there. And I have to bite my words. I know people are going to come after me. Now I said it. I said Johnny Manziel would not fall past the 8th pick overall in the NFL draft, and he did, obviously. My bad. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. That's crazy. It was crazy. Oh, the draft was so crazy. And I have my dad sitting next to me, huge Dallas Cowboys fans, worked for the Dallas Cowboys. And he's like, watch, they're taking Manziel. They're going to take Manziel. I had a feeling they're taking Manziel. Kept telling me this. And I'm like, Dad, I really don't think they will. It doesn't make sense for them to do it. You know, they need so much help defensively. I was thinking it was Clinton Dix from Alabama safety. That's who I thought the Cowboys were going to take. They shocked everybody. Oh, if you haven't seen the reaction to the Cowboys draft party, all their fans. Oh, I feel so bad, but it was so funny. It was so funny. They say Zach Martin, offensive tackle, Notre Dame, but he's going to play offensive guard. You see everybody's facial reaction, you know, from Manziel, Zach who? It's a good pickup. Zach Martin, nothing to take away from. I feel bad for him because everybody's going to be like, that's the pick that wasn't Manziel. But you know, Martin is gonna probably start this season. If not, he will get a lot of playing time throughout the season if they rotate. He is very, very good, but I feel bad for him because everybody wanted Manziel. And if it wasn't Manziel, people wanted a defensive player because of all the players they lost and how bad the defense was last season. And they get an offensive lineman. He's still really good. I know Cowboys fans are going to be, you know, they'll later realize he was good, but they're still upset it wasn't the Manziel pick. Then after that was C.J. Mosley to the Ravens. Calvin Pryor to the Jets, a safety from Louisville. I love that pick. Going to bring some hard hittingness to the Jets defense. Then Jawan James, offensive tackle from the Dolphins. Surprised a lot of people. Thought Dolphins, everybody knew they were getting offensive linemen. But a lot of them thought it was going to be someone else. But still a good pickup overall. Then Brandon Cooks to the Saints. Speedy wide receiver, going to be teamed up with Kenny Stills. Saints offense is going to be another deadly offense. It already was, but when you have Kenny Stills, who runs really, really fast, and now you have Brandon Cooks, who's also very fast, opposite sides of each other, no one's going to keep up. No one's going to keep up. It's going to be deadly to watch. Then number 21 was Clinton Dix to the Packers. Very good pickup because they were terrible on defense. And then the pick came in. The Browns traded up, and Johnny Manziel was finally taken off the board, going to the Cleveland Browns. And quick notes. One, bad thing for Manziel, the last two times the Browns traded up to the 22nd spot in the first round to get a quarterback, it was Brandon Weeden and Brady Quinn. Both flops, both terrible. Oh, Manziel, please don't be like that. Please don't be like that. I feel bad. I didn't want him to go to Cleveland. At first I did, a few months ago, but now I was like, I don't want him to go there. I want him to go Jacksonville or Vikings or Cowboys, somewhere else. To the Browns. Yeah. Especially when they lost Josh Gordon, which I should have talked about. They lost Josh Gordon. Gonna face a year-long suspension after failing another drug test, testing positive for marijuana. Dude, just stay away from the stick, man. God. Led the league in receiving yards and now a lost target for Manziel. But also, he showed that money sign, though. I like that. But another thing, oh, man, I think I forgot about it. Oh, yeah. Before the Browns traded up, one thing that caught in my mind, and I'm thinking, why is this not happening? And I want to know if you thought about it as well. Houston Texans drafted the first pick, Jadeveon Clowney. A lot of people, including myself, thought it's Manziel Clowney. Who's going to be number one, right? Manziel drops all the way down. What if and why didn't the Houston Texans they had what, 11 or 12 picks? Why didn't they trade, multiple picks? They would have to give up multiple picks either in this draft or next year's draft. Trade back up into the first round, give away their second round pick, which was number 1 in the second round. Give that up and take Manziel. What if they traded back in? Imagine if you would have no one would have thought Manziel and Clowney both to the Texans. Now that would have been huge egos and huge paychecks you would have to give up. Now I could see that being one reason that didn't happen. But man, wouldn't that have been crazy if you got both of them? I would have loved to have seen that, but sadly it did not happen. Manziel goes to the Browns. After that, D Ford, defensive lineman from Auburn, went to the Chiefs. It was an alright pick. A lot of people thought D Ford would have been in the second round, and Chiefs went up and got him. Good pick. Then Darqueze Dennard was taken by the Cincinnati Bengals. Very good pickup for them. Tall cornerback. I love Dennard. He's everything. He's dominant player. He's going to be one of the best cornerbacks in this year's draft. And then after that, number 25. This is the best feeling you can ever get, is when your favorite college team produces a player to be drafted to your favorite NFL team. Jason Verrett, cornerback from TCU, was drafted to the San Diego Chargers. Best feeling ever. When I knew Dennard was off and Jason Verrett was left, I knew we were getting Jason Verrett. And I like it. I saw the press conferences. Verrett was emotional, but also, just very humble, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm gonna buy his jersey, but I was very excited for the Chargers to get Jason Verrett. When I also saw Dennard, when Bengals were right before us, I knew they were gonna get a defensive back too. I was happy with either one. I like Dennard a lot because he's a physical cornerback. Jason Verrett is the speedy guy, makes plays. I've seen Verrett obviously throughout his 3 years he was at TCU. So I was happy either way, but it was crazy to watch that part. And then the surprising and probably the worst pick in the first round was to the Philadelphia Eagles. Marcus Smith, defensive lineman from Louisville. Everybody said he was a late second to mid-third round pick, and Eagles got him at number 1. Hopefully he proves a lot of people wrong, because he's going to have a lot of naysayers and saying why the Eagles got him, why didn't they get, I don't know who else was left. Bradley Roby, defensive back from Ohio State. Someone later, a defensive back, because how bad they were, but they got him. They saw something in him early. Then Deion Buchanan, safety from Washington State, Wazoo, was taken to the Cardinals. Another guy who was thought to be a second or third round pick, taken in the first round. I really like him. He is a first round talent, so there's nothing wrong with that. Cardinals got a huge hard-hitting safety. Now that defensive backfield is very good now for the Cardinals. You obviously have Tyrann Mathieu. Hopefully will be ready to go by this season. The Honey Badger on the free safety side. Then strong safety, Buchanan. He's that hard hitter. And for people that haven't seen him, go watch some tape on him. The comparison to him is a Cam Chancellor. That's, I don't think he's as tall as Cam. No, he's not as tall as Cam Chancellor. I think he's only like 6'1", but he can hit. He can hit like Cam Chancellor can. So you have Buchanan on the strong safety side, and then at cornerback, obviously Patrick Peterson and whoever else they got in the draft. I know they got some other defensive backs. So the Cardinals, they're gonna be set defensive back wise. Then after that, Kelvin Benjamin, 6'5" wide receiver from Florida State, was taken to the Panthers. Dominique Easley was taken, defensive tackle from Florida, was taken to the Patriots. Very good pick for the Patriots. Jimmy Ward, safety to the 49ers. I didn't like that pick because Ward is good, but I think he's undersized to be a safety. Wouldn't be surprised they move him to corner, like a nickel corner. So I really thought the 49ers should have got Roby, who was the next pick to the Broncos from Ohio State. And then the Vikings traded with the Seattle Seahawks and selected Teddy Bridgewater. And I love the pick. Teddy Bridgewater is going to fit perfectly with Norv Turner. He's going to learn under. If it's smart for the Vikings, they do not start Bridgewater this season. They let him sit. They let him sit. I don't care how bad the Vikings are. Sit Bridgewater. Because Matt Castle and Christian Ponder, let them go at it. Have Bridgewater push them as well, because I know they're going to feel under pressure. And just let Bridgewater sit. That's the best thing for him. I know Viking fans, you want him to start. Feel like he can do a lot with Adrian Peterson, Cordell Patterson, all that good stuff, Norv Turner's offense. But the best thing for him is to basically redshirt him. So redshirt him. Let him sit out a year and then get back at it and take the starting job next year. That's my opinion. And in the second round, the Cowboy, and now I'm just gonna not gonna go through all of them. It's just the guys that stand out that could make immediate impacts. In the second round, the Cowboys traded up to with the Washington Redskins to move up to the second pick overall in the second round and selected DeMarcus Lawrence, outside linebacker from Boise State. Big time, big time, big time. They had to place DeMarcus Ware with DeMarcus Lawrence now. He's going to be the next DeMarcus. The funniest thing would be if the Cowboys gave him 94. That would be funny. But it'd also be kind of dumb too. But anyways, very, very good pick for the Cowboys. This is a guy I talked about right before my show. I said he's going to be very, very good. He will be. He's going to make an immediate impact for the Cowboys. Then the fourth pick was Derek Carr to the Oakland Raiders. A stupid pick, I believe, by the Raiders. Now, I give some props now to Derek Carr. I'm not that much of a hater against him anymore. He's got a strong arm, lots of potential. Still don't think he's going to be great, but just saying. But Raiders, I don't see why this was smart. They should have addressed more defensive backs, or another wide receiver, something like that, to have Schaub, because you're going to have Schaub for the next 2 to 3 years, depending on how he plays. So why not roll with that? Get a quarterback later. You could have got A.J. McCarron or Zach Mettenberg later, as we all saw how late they were how late they were picked. So this was pretty dumb by them to pick so early. Then Marquise Lee with the 7th pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love that pick. Jacksonville was very smart after the Bortles pick with Marquise Lee. Then Kyle Van Noy, linebacker from BYU to the Lions. Love that pick. Going to be on the opposite side of Ziggy Ansah. Both BYU players. So they got, teammates. They know, they have each other. They know chemistry. They know how each other plays. And they're going to help each other learn and get better. So I love that pick. LaMarcus Joyner, defensive back from Florida State, goes to the Rams. Also love that pick. See him starting real soon. Jordan Matthews, wide receiver to the Eagles. Smart pickup as well. Big, tall wide receiver. I believe he's I know he's Vanderbilt's all-time leading receiver in catches and possibly yards as well and touchdowns. But I also think he was the SEC's top 5 for sure in most catches and possibly yards and touchdowns as well. I just know catches for sure. So very good pickup for the Eagles. Then Cyrus Kwanjo, offensive tackle from Alabama, with the 12th overall pick in the second round to the Bills. Love it. Bills ran the ball more than anybody in the NFL, and getting a huge offensive lineman like they did, smart. Just all smart. Stephon Tuitt, defensive end from Notre Dame to the Steelers. Smart pickup with them. They're getting younger. They're trying to build up a good defense. This might be, for Steelers fans, you have to be very excited. This might be the draft you look back 5-7 years from now and say, this produced more Pro Bowlers, and the next great Steelers defense all came from this draft. I'm being completely honest. It's a very good Steelers draft. Then 17th overall was Jace Amaro, or I forgot how to say it. I know it's got some little ring to it. Tight end from Texas Tech. Very big physical guy. Played against him against TCU. He did work against us, sadly. To the Jets, great pickup for either Geno Smith or Michael Vick, whoever starts. Having a good tight end after losing Dustin Keller when he went to the Dolphins. This guy will take over, immediate impact. Then number 18 was Jeremiah Atauchu. I hope I said his name right. Outside linebacker from Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's all-time leading sack leader with 31.5 sacks. To the Chargers. Love the pick. I thought he was going to be a third rounder, so I was a little upset that we got him in the second round, but after watching more film on him and learning more about him, great pickup for the Chargers. Excited to see him make an impact. Then number 22, Bishop Sankey, running back from Washington, UW, was taken to the Tennessee Titans. Jeremiah Hill, running back for the Bengals, was taken, or he's from LSU, to the Bengals. And one thing I was a little upset by was if they were going to get a running back. Now, Jeremy Hill's very good. Power back, but has speed on him. It's going to be a very good pickup. It's going to be 1-2 punch with Giovanni Bernard. My thing was I would rather have Carlos Hyde, a running back from Ohio State. And for Hyde, it's got to be for him. It's like, wow, Bengals took a running back, and even though that might not be his favorite team, you would have stayed in the state of Ohio. Your family still would have been right there with you. And, you know, all that good stuff. And you would have had a good amount of playing time. And I think Hyde is a better running back. But they took Jeremy Hill. Then the next pick, Cody Latimer, wide receiver from Indiana, to the Broncos. Great pickup. Sucks for the Chargers because now we got to play against better receivers now. Awesome. But then the next pick was Carlos Hyde to the 49ers. Dumb pick for the 49ers. You already have like 6 running backs at your depth chart now. And so you know LaMichael James is going to get traded pretty soon. Didn't happen during the draft. But anyways, Carlos Hyde was later taken, and it's got to be like, man, I could have been me with the Bengals. But anyways, moving on. Stan Juan Batiste, defensive back from Nebraska, to the Saints. Big physical cornerback as well. Good pickup for the Saints. Going to learn under Champ Bailey, so he's got to be very excited. Going to be learning under Champ Bailey. The next pick, or well, actually the 29th pick, Allen Robinson to the Jaguars. Speedy receiver. Did great work at Penn State. I believe he set a lot of records at Penn State and for Big Ten conference. So great pickup for the Jacksonville Jaguars, knowing that who knows what's going to happen with Justin Blackman. Now you have Marquise Lee and Allen Robinson to be your slot guy. Really good pickups for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then the 30th pick was for the New England Patriots, and they selected Jimmy Garoppolo from Eastern Illinois. Is he the successor for Tom Brady? Is he going to take over and be the guy? I don't know. They still have Ryan Mallett. They haven't traded him yet, so who knows what's going to happen. Who knows? Then Jarvis Landry was taken, wide receiver from LSU. Him and Beckham, my favorite wide receivers, was then taken to the Dolphins. Good pickup for them. In round 3, 5th pick was Charles Sims, running back from West Virginia, taken to the Buccaneers. I like that. They already had a running back by committee. Now adding another guy to get everybody, push each other even more. You know Doug Martin's going to be your number 1. Bobby Rainey, the other running back. You also have Mike James. Very two talented guys. And then Charles Sims, very good. I think Mike James takes the 2nd spot, and then Sims and Rainey battle it for 3rd, and possibly one of them loses a job after that gets cut. 8th pick was Scott Crichton, defensive end from Oregon State, to the Vikings. Another great pickup for them. Trey Mason to the Rams, running back from Auburn. Awesome pickup. You already have Zach Stacy, who's going to be your number 1. Now you got Trey Mason, who I think takes the spot over that Richardson guy. Awesome pickup for the Rams. Very excited for that. Terrence Brooks, safety, going to the Ravens. Talented safety. Will Sutton, defensive tackle, to the Bears. Big guy who's going to plug up the holes and be able to dominate for the Bears. Then Lewis Nix from Notre Dame, defensive tackle, taken to the Texans. If I was the Bears, I would have took Nix instead of Sutton, but it didn't happen. Nix. Now you got a solid defensive line for the Texans. Watt, Nix, Clowney. I think they're gonna run a 4-3. So you got someone else there. Great pickup for the Texans. Kareem Martin was taken, defensive end from North Carolina, to the Cardinals. Josh Huff, wide receiver from Oregon, taken to the Eagles, drafted to the Eagles. awesome. You know, he was there when Chip Kelly coached him. Kelly knows what Huff can do. Huff, speedy guy, might take the place of some guy named Deshaun Jackson. Could be that guy, and you took him in the 3rd round. Could do it. Phillip Gaines, defensive back from Rice, taken to the Chiefs. William Clark, defensive end from West Virginia, taken to the Bengals. Dante McCreef, wide receiver from Ole Miss, drafted by the Colts. Awesome pickup for them. And this is one, Terrence West, I believe he was from Townsend, going to the the Browns. He's good, but then you look 3 picks later, Dre Archer, Kent State, running back, taken to the Steelers. I think I would have had Archer instead of West. Archer's that speedy guy. I know he's undersized. I think he's like 5'7", but he ran a 4.3, almost a 4.2. If not a 4.2, I forgot what he ran, but he was the fastest out of everybody. Terrence West is probably a little bit more complete because he's got a little more power than Archer does. But that one kind of, I question the Browns a little bit, but still a good pick overall to the Browns. Then Brandon Thomas, offensive guard, going to the 49ers. He was the offensive lineman from Clemson that tore his ACL in a pre-draft workout. So awesome to see him still, people thought first 2 rounds, just dropped to the 3rd. And he's going to a very, very good team. So good for him. Round 4, 3rd overall pick, Devontae Freeman to the Falcons from Florida State. Good pickup. Jalen Saunders, wide receiver from Oklahoma, going to the Jets. Bruce Ellington, wide receiver from South Carolina, to the 49ers. Daquan Jones, defensive tackle from Penn State, Titans. Andre Williams, running back from Boston College, power guy. I believe was a Heisman, contender, going to the Giants. Good pickup for them. Aaron Colvin, defensive back, cornerback from Oklahoma, who tore his ACL in the season, or I think at the Senior Bowl. Drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's gonna miss this season, but he's your guy that you're gonna develop, your project, and is gonna could make a huge name for himself for the Jacksonville Jaguars, in the 2015-2016 season. Kadeem Carey, running back from Arizona, going to the Bears. Awesome pickup. Martavius Bryant, wide receiver from Clemson. I talked about him as well on my show. He's awesome. He's going to the Steelers. Logan Thomas, quarterback, going to the Cardinals. Another development project right there. 6'5", big arm. Just needs to learn where to put the ball, footwork, and how to handle pressure. Going to sit under Carson Palmer for a year or 2. Good thing for the Cardinals. Kevin Norwood, wide receiver, taken to the Seahawks. I believe the best pick for the Seahawks at that time. From Alabama. Then DeAnthony Thomas, running back from Oregon, the speedster, the Black Mamba, taken to the Chiefs. He will take the place of Dexter McCluster, who went to the Titans. Pierre Desir, if you haven't read about him, I believe he was from Linwood, defensive back, going to the Browns. Read about his story. It's on Bleacher Report. Just, go through the stories, find Pierre Desir. Awesome guy. Trey Boston, safety, going to the Panthers. Dante Johnson, defensive back, going to the 49ers, power guy. James White, running back from Wisconsin, going to the Patriots. Should be a solid contributor to the team. Brock Vereen, safety, going to the Bears. He's the brother of Shane Vereen, the running back who I don't know if he's with the Patriots anymore. Used to be with the Patriots, if not still there. They'll play each other, I know for sure. I had some little stat reading down. Then the Seahawks, another really good pickup. Kevin Pierre-Louis, outside linebacker for Boston College. They rated him really low. He's going to make an impact rotating and learning a lot from the linebackers at Seattle. Then Tom Savage, quarterback from Pittsburgh, taken. I keep saying taken. I need to say drafted. Drafted to the Houston Texans. Could be their quarterback in the waiting. Who knows? Cameron Fleming, offensive tackle, drafted to the Patriots. 5th round, David Yankee, 5th overall pick in the 5th round, offensive guard from to the Vikings. Won tons of awards at Stanford. Somehow just dropped all the way to the 5th round. Surprised me, but very good. Devin Street, wide receiver from Pittsburgh. Guarantee you he's going to make an impact with the Cowboys. He will be their 3rd wide receiver. It'll be Bryant, Williams, Street. Just watch. I'm telling you. Devin Street, awesome wide receiver. Aaron Lynch, defensive end from South Florida, going to the 49ers. Cyril Richardson, offensive guard from Baylor, going to the Bills. Another big pickup for the Bills, offensive lineman. Ed Stinson, defensive end, going to the Cardinals. Ed Reynolds, safety from Stanford, awesome playmaker, going to the Eagles. Aaron Murray, quarterback from Georgia, drafted to the Chiefs with the 23rd overall in the 5th round. Then right after him, A.J. McCarron from Alabama, taken to the Bengals. Concerns me. They don't have I still don't think they have a lot of faith in Dalton. I know he's 0-3 in the playoffs, but he's got to get it done this year. And Dalton, don't disappoint me, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. From TCU, don't do it. Number 26 overall pick in the 5th round, Jonathan Newsom, defensive end, going to the Colts. John Urschel, 35th overall pick in the 5th round, offensive guard from Penn State, the smartest player from Penn State. He's incredibly smart. Going to the Ravens. This guy is a diamond right here in the rough. He might not play this year, but will take a starting job next year and be probably one of the best offensive linemen for the Ravens. Then in the 6th round, the 2nd overall pick, Zach Mettenberg from LSU, taken to the Titans. I love this pick. He will be the starting quarterback midway through the season for the Titans. At least midway through the season. Guarantee. Awesome pick. Alfred Blue, 5th overall pick, another LSU product. Power guy, going to the Texans. Robert Herron, wide receiver from Wyoming, going to the Buccaneers, speedy guy. Lance Seastrunk, running back from Baylor, going to the Redskins. He's going to be with RG3. I don't know if they were teammates. I think Seastrunk was hurt the year RG3 played his senior year. But anyways, awesome pickup. EJ Gaines, defensive back, going to the Rams. Pat O'Donnell, punter, the first punter taken in the draft, to the Bears. Now, this guy is not your typical punter. This guy is an athlete. 6'4", ran a 4.6, benched 23 reps, more than Jadeveon Clowney. This guy isn't a punter. He's an athlete. This guy, awesome. puntersarepeople2.com. Check it out. Marion Grice, running back from Arizona State, drafted to the Chargers. At first, I was a little upset because I saw it said running back, and I'm like, Chargers, we don't need a running back. We just got Donald Brown in the free agency, which I don't agree with, but we don't need more running backs. But he is 6 foot. He caught a lot of passes at Arizona State. I do see the transition of moving him to a slot wide receiver. And I really think that's what they should do. Very good at Arizona State. Found the end zone a lot. 11 touchdowns last season. So, good pickup. Tyler Gaffney, running back from Stanford, drafted to the Panthers. Quincy Enunwa, I hope I said his last name right, from Nebraska, wide receiver, taken to the Jets. Marquise Flowers, outside linebacker, going to the Bengals. Then Taj Boyd, my favorite quarterback in the draft other than Manziel, drafted to the Jets. I feel bad for him. I really do. But he will get, he's going to be a backup, but he could get time. If you think about it, let's say Vic's name's a starter. He gets hurt, out for the season or out for multiple weeks. Then let's say, Smith steps in. He can't get the job done. You looked at Taj Boyd. Bam. Could find something right there for him. So maybe not too bad after all, but glad Taj Boyd was taken. 37th overall in the 6th round. Then Garrett Gilbert, who was formerly at Texas, transferred to SMU, ugly SMU, drafted to the Rams. Now, I find this disrespectful real quick. Let me just, I spent a lot of time on this, but I need to talk about it. Why in the world was Casey Paul Hall from TCU, 6'5", 230, power arm, when he was playing, led the entire nation in passer efficiency and passing completion, not drafted? I know he's got his off-the-field issues. I believe he cleared himself. I know he got hurt this season, struggled this season, but if you're looking for a project, a development player, that's your guy. Still hasn't been picked up. Disappointing. He's going to find a spot somewhere. In the 7th round, Dre Hall, defensive back from Texans. Never heard of him. Sounds like a really good defensive back, though, just by his name. 3rd overall, Michael Campanero, wide receiver from Vanderbilt. I believe is Vanderbilt. It's got to be Vanderbilt. Really good to the Ravens. Randall Johnson, never heard of him. Sounds like a dominant linebacker, going to the Bills. Storm Johnson, running back from UCF. Had his off-the-field issues, fumbles a lot though. Going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, going to be with his teammate, Blake Bortles. But Johnson could make some good amount of playing time for Jacksonville. Learns how to hold on to the ball, stays out of trouble, really good. Then the Cowboys these are where the steals come in right here. And I'm telling you, 7th round, this was the best draft ever. So much in-depth. And when you know players by heart that are taken in the 7th round, you know it's a really good draft. Ben Gardner, defensive end from Stanford. Amazing player. Going to the Cowboys. Really good pickup. Centro Henderson, offensive tackle from Miami. Did have some issues at the combine. But huge 6'7", 3-something. Going to the Bills. Bills did really good drafting offensive linemen. Will Smith, linebacker from Texas Tech. Going to the Cowboys. Great pickup for them. Tevin Reese, wide receiver from Baylor. Speedster. Has some troubles now. But going to the Chargers. Love the pick. Corey Nelson, outside linebacker from Oklahoma. Going to the Broncos. Good pickup. Jeremy Gallon from Michigan. Really good wide receiver. Going to the Patriots. Gonna make an impact. Guaranteed this season. Trey Millard, fullback / halfback from Oklahoma. Going to the 49ers. Don't agree with the pick for the 49ers. But I'm not saying Millard shouldn't have been drafted. I believe he should have been drafted. Not to the 49ers. What the 49ers are doing, getting so many running backs and fullbacks, is blowing my mind and very stupid, I believe. That's my opinion. Ahmad Dixon, hard-hitting safety, troublemaker against TCU. I don't like him. Just dirty player. But good pickup for the Cowboys as they needed help. And then Michael Sam, drafted to the Rams, 34th overall in the 7th round. ESPN, you wanted the cameras on him, and you got what you wanted. That's what you wanted to see. If you haven't seen the reaction, I guess if you want to go watch it. But that's what ESPN wanted. And then 39th overall, Terrence Mitchell, defensive back, I believe from Oregon. Very good. Going to the Cowboys. Nice pickup. But that's it. Those are players in my mind that are going to make impacts. Michael Sam, I don't know. I just, everybody was talking about him. We'll see. Moving on, NBA playoffs. I know for people that are wanting to listen to this might have left because I talked about the NFL draft a lot. But if you stuck around to the NBA playoffs, it's been crazy. Indiana Pacers hold on and take a 3-1 lead against the Washington Wizards, 95-92. Come on, Wizards. You got to do this. You got to close it out. Or not close it out. You got to come back right now. But got to close the games. Hibbert finally coming back, playing against not the best defense, though, and the Washington Wizards. But Pacers do take a 3-1 lead. Then the LA Clippers defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder 101-99. Series is tied 2-2. And this is an interesting series. I haven't watched it. I started tuning in and watching it, and it's looking pretty good series. And then tonight's games, San Antonio Spurs at the Portland Trail Blazers. No one thought the Spurs would be up 3-0 right now. If anything, we thought it'd be 2-1. Someone has the lead, but not 3-0. No way it's 3-0, but it is. Trailblazers, Damian Lillard haven't done anything, had no answer for the Spurs. Spurs have been an offensive juggernaut, leading, scoring 65, 70, 55, and then another 60 plus points in just the first half alone, while Trailblazers have struggled to get to 40 to 50 points. So it's been crazy for the Trailblazers. They need to find an answer quickly. Obviously tonight they're at home. This is their last chance. I know they have one more home game, I believe, but they can't let this. Obviously they lose, they're out. But Spurs, what they're doing, if they get the win tonight, it's going to be much needed rest because I see this Clippers and Thunder series going 7 games. So it's going to be interesting to see, but the Spurs really need to close it out today so they can get some rest. Then also tonight, Miami Heat against the Brooklyn Nets. Heat lost the game after being up 2-0. Now have a 2-1 lead, and Brooklyn's got some momentum. Again, Brooklyn Nets are at home again. Paul Pierce calling out LeBron James, how that's going to play out, saying that he wants to cover beyond one-on-one with LeBron the entire game. We'll see how that goes, but Brooklyn's got, they got that experience with them. Somehow they've had this late surge with them, so we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. I hope that series goes 7 games too, because Heat have already swept, the Bobcats. They've had some rest. Let this game go 7 games. Let the series go 7 games. Spurs get some rest. We'll see how that goes. Major League Baseball news, all injury updates, and if I announce your team right here, other than the Cincinnati Reds, you might want to just close your ears because it's about to get bad. Brewers, third baseman Ramirez appears to be headed to the disabled list with a strained left hamstring that he injured yesterday. Then the Washington Nationals placed first baseman Adam LaRoche on the 15-day disabled list with the right quad strain. San Francisco Giants first baseman Brandon Belt has opted to go ahead and have surgery on his fractured left thumb and will miss 6 weeks. And then New York Yankees placed CC Sabathia on disabled list with inflammation on the right knee. And good news for the Orioles. They activated first baseman Chris Davis from the 15-day DL, but catcher Matt Wieters is now being placed on the DL with right elbow strain. Good and bad. Bittersweet right there. But the best news is Cincinnati Reds closer Aroldis Chapman returned and dominated in his first save since being hit above the eye by a line drive during spring training, striking out the side in the 9th with his 100-mile-per-hour fastball, going crazy to close out a 4-1 victory over the Colorado Rockies. Good to see him back. Good to see that, it doesn't seem like he was affected at all by that. A lot of people were scared of what was going to happen. How is he going to be able to still throw effectively? And it looks like he has and will be. Great news. Awesome to see that. And that is it for today's show. I will be back next Monday morning. Follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. Become a fan on Facebook, The Short Sports Show. And if you're listening on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, be sure to leave a like and share, favorite, comment, all the other good stuff. It's been crazy. Draft is over. NFL, take a little bit of break again, but we'll get ready for, I think college is going to have their media days pretty soon in July, which it's not even June yet, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. But either way, it's going to be really good to watch and see what's going to happen. But thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys next Monday. God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.